Greetings, family. This is another session. I'm going to call it the Melanin Report. I'm sorry, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. I'm your hostess, Deanne. Thank you so much for tuning back in. So I titled the chat, What's Going On? Let me, hope everyone had a good day. I'm really just getting right into it because so much has been going on in the last 24 hours or less. It makes your head spin. So I have to get into a couple of extra things. So let me go ahead and read the fair use disclaimer. So we can read the Fair Use Act disclaimer. So copyright, excuse me, fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So I'm glad I got that out the way. So it's not even laughable. It's beyond laughable because you are like, what channel am I on? Should I change the channel? Is this the real world? Is this happening yet again? You're talking to yourself of like, okay, did I just see this like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago? It's just so much. So bear with me. Let me make sure my phone is turned off. Yes, it is. So a couple of things. I don't know if it's going to be in order, but I just have to go through a few things that has come across the stratosphere, as it were. First of all, we had another untimely death of a person, a young lady that took COVID. I'm trying to get to the report. The COVID vaccine, a person who took the COVID vaccine. I don't know the timeline of when she passed on. So it is that I'm not sure of. I get to another story. There's been so much just in the last, because we're in America. This is what this is what the MO is. There's never a dull, calm, peaceful 24 hour, 48 hours, some people just shut everything out and they don't even take in but maybe a tenth of this information, because it's so overwhelming for most. So according to Sandra Rose, I mean, she doesn't have many retractions, but I'm going to read it. This is from 12th. This is today, right? Or yesterday. I'm trying to lose track of my dates. But anyway, it's yesterday or today. It's just a blur on the time frame we're in because there's been a lot of stuff repeating itself. And I'm going to that in just a few moments. So Baldwin Hills star Ashley Taylor Guerin dies after getting COVID vaccine. 30 years old, 30-year-old Black female. I mean, have we heard enough? Have we seen enough? Have we? I don't know how they did it, but I'm sure it's not the case of Caucasian. I don't know that to be true, but I know that's so. Um, so Ashley Taylor Guerin, Gerren, Guerin, passed away in her sleep at 4:30 a.m. on Sunday. Her family confirmed as the statement on Monday she was 30 years of age. So this, I'm not familiar with that show, Baldwin Hills. I mean, I'm just, call me old school, but I do just a couple of shows. I would say Green Sugar. Shout out to Green Sugar. It's coming back season 6, yay! And the Greenleaf that I loved. I absolutely loved that show, and it, I think it was last year was the last season, so that's a whole nother story. Um, we'll talk about that. I will talk about Greenleaf. So Baldwin Hills star Ashley Taylor Guerin dies after getting COVID vaccine. Enough is enough. We have the receipts. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the picture of her, and that's the title, the heading. Quite lovely looking lady, and 30 years of age. So that was 27 years ago for me. I mean, we have to make sure we're getting the proper information. Family, please, I beg of you, please do your research. Please search high and low. I don't know if it is specifically targeting melanated people. It could be. I don't know, because the vaccine was developed in such a way, we don't know if it's responding to melanin differently than non-melanated people. Not saying that it's done. It has been doing. They have been doing it, but it's a 30-year-old female, like, who dies in their sleep without having a condition or whatever. So what I'm saying to you, we must pay attention to the data, pay attention to the statistics. And like I said, I've had family members have already taken the vaccine. I just keep them in prayer. I keep them in prayer, and I elevate their energy and spirit and in truth. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. That may be enough. Hopefully that's enough. But this is, this is 2021. It's just been so much in the news. Obviously we talked about the other day, the young man, 50 years, DMX, the family said, again, the sources from Sandra Rose, they said he did not have drug overdose. There wasn't a drug overdose. So because his history, see, they laid in on that. Well, he's got drug abuse, has had, he's been in and out of treatment, blah, blah, blah. So people would take that story and just be, okay, well, that was DMX, okay, blah, blah, blah. But the report I read from Sandra Rose, he had a desire to get back on the road and, performing, blah, blah, blah. So he figured he would take the vaccine to make sure he could fly, no problem, blah, blah, blah. And so they didn't give us a timeline, obviously, but probably within 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, he had a heart attack and then brain dead, and we know the end of that story. So we have to do our due diligence of making sure that we are dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and not saying conspiracy. I'm just looking at facts. I'm not looking at conspiracy. I'm just looking at, Midwin Charles last week, and then, or 2 weeks ago, and then the young lady from a few days ago. This is Ashley. And then I'm going to DMX. I mean, that's 3 people in our community. So I'm just saying, you make your decisions. You make your decisions. We all have that right to make our own decision. So I just don't want to even go further into that because, these are people probably would still be here, would still be here, would still be here if they didn't take. I'm just going to say it. So the other story, I was just so much today. It seemed like the sun is in Aries. It's just the first sign, and we have a lot of stuff that's going on the planet. Obviously, we have a young man that was killed, Minnesota again. I forgot the city. It's just a blur. It's like, okay, if it's this city or that city, it's still a Black boy, young man murdered. Murdered. Oh, they said they thought he was pulling a taser. He was pulling out a taser. So the seasoned officers, or maybe 5 or 10 years in, his beverage of choice is a weekend pomegranate tea, organic. It's really good because it's like 10,000 degrees outside. So, but yes, when you see young people in the car, I mean, I'm calling on the parents. I'm not a parent, but I'm calling on the parents. This is not the time to have your young man or young woman, your child is as it were, your baby, be on the street, in the street. Not saying he was doing anything wrong. He was just driving. Or, I don't know the backstory. I will admit I don't, because it was just so, I was in such overload with everything. I could not watch. I know they were tear gassing people. There was a march and protest. It's amazing how it didn't do this type of response with January 6th. Why do you think that is? There was so much restraint, even though some of their own officers were killed and civilians. I mean, we have to see it as it is. We cannot pull the blind's eye, so we don't want to see it, blah blah blah. Truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. So what I'm saying is, if you want to turn away, stop looking because it's so uncomfortable, we need to be uncomfortable. We need to be uncomfortable because enough is enough. If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. If you're not outraged, you are not paying attention. If you are not outraged, you are not paying attention. I'm going to admit, I don't know the entire backstory because, like I said, I was kind of saturated with, and I was like, I mean, I was just seeing the tear gas and the treatment, and it's more of the same. It's almost like, 2000, 1995. I mean, it's a blur. It's like, it's a continuum. The same energy towards our people. It's a continuum. And so, if he had his hands out, what I saw out of the window of the car, and I don't know, I don't even know why it escalated to that level of, I mean, we do not know the details. I wasn't there. I am saying to you, if you're a parent, if you're a mother, if you're a father, please, please take your babies to the store, take your children to the park, take your children wherever you're going. We cannot afford to have, killed in the street another George Floyd, another Trayvon Martin. We cannot afford that. We cannot afford that. And so if you have children, if you have time enough to go and get your nails done, I am talking to the sisters. If you got time to go get the haircut, talking to the brothers, you got time to take your child wherever, you know, And when they ask you, we are at war. We are at war. That's the only way I can, figure this thing out. Because back in 1972 or 19, I think it was somewhere the early 70s, late great Marvin Gaye, he wrote a song, What's Going On? Mother, 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 there's too many of you crying. That's the first song. I got chills. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. Those are the lyrics. He wrote this probably 30, 35 years ago, maybe even 40 years ago. He was a great songwriter and he had a vision. He could see what was going on. Even at that time, he can channel it and put it into lyrics and saying, this is not what this country, not, he didn't reference all of that, but this is not what we signed up for. Again, we were not supposed to survive. We were not supposed to survive. We were not supposed to survive. Once you get that, they knew what they did to our ancestors. Hands down. Hands down. They knew exactly. Willie Lynch, they knew exactly what their ancestors did to our ancestors. So it's no way that we could survive that. But we did. But we are. And that's pissing them the blank up. That's pissing them off. Not all. I'm not going to say all. And you're talking about every, Caucasian. No, that wouldn't even be right. But I am saying the people who have guns, there's a pretty good percentage of the bias starting in the military and going back into, policing. That's why I was saying even weeks and months ago, men and women that want to go into armed forces or military or policing, you need to have a psychological evaluation on each person, male, female, because we know that, we have too much of what's going on. Killing in the street, Zimmerman, bringing matters into his own hands. He was following the young man, Trayvon Martin. He was just following him. You're like a crazy person who follows like he was looking for something, and he took that young man's life. And I'm sure Had they thought, I think he was visiting his father. I don't know all the backstory, but please, we don't want to be in a position of saying, oh, I wish I had done blah, 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 blah. If we know we're in war, we know our babies are the target, we're going to protect our babies. We're going to, hold them dear. I know that this is unusual time, but this is not unusual time. We've seen this story, this movie, played over and over and over again. What about Emmett Till? He was visiting, I think he went south to someone and visiting relatives, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly allegedly, he whistled at a white woman. And at least his mother, she wanted the world to see what they did to that child. Fast forward, the young man that was killed playing with a toy gun. And that was Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice. How was that a threat? He was a threat. He was playing with a toy gun. If you don't know the difference between a child's toy and a real gun, you should not be on the force. I'm sure that officer may have left there and he's back doing the craziness at another city, at another precinct. And what I was telling you, um, several months ago, we had police officers. This was back in the 70s when I was a kid. That was 100,000 years ago, right? Um, Police officers, they didn't even, some of them lived in the immediate community, some that didn't. But policing was more or less not so much from a squad car. Okay. Police would walk the community. They walk the block, they walk the beat, they go and get free lunch and all that. But this was the standard practice of police. I'm not trying to say they were always in a car. I mean, they were always on the beat, meaning walking. More times than not, we saw police, you know, walking the beat, walking the community. You know, now, like that chump that killed Tamar Rice, he was out the car and that child was dead in 5 seconds. I think it was like not even 5 seconds. He saw the melanin. That's the weapon. That is the weapon. Melanin. There's another story I want to try and get to. Time is flying, but this is irritating because this was out of a sister friend of mine alerted me to this story. And this is why systemic racism is not so much in this moment, I did not do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. But this is training or letting children these are babies, 3 and 4 and 5-year olds, the bias treatment. So I was probably going to try and find it. Okay. It was about the school that was actually serving children's lunch. The Black children were being fed last. Black children, let me say that again. Black children were being served. I'll say served last. So for people who are living in Roswell, Georgia, and that's right outside of Atlanta. It's like a little burby out of Atlanta, but it's actually in the city limits, but they kind of carved out, because of political reasons, I'm sure. I used to be a planning commissioner, so I knew some of the stuff that, this was back in 1997 to 2003 when I moved out of the area. So I saw a lot of stuff in the good old boy Atlanta town. Now, this may have happened like 2 or 3 days ago. I'm trying to find it. And this is sickening because this is okay, here it is. Preschool contract terminated after viral photo shows white children eating while black children wait to be served. This is 2000 and this is 2021. Are you so what is really going on? We are not doing anything to try to mitigate, try to offset, bring stuff into back. This is perpetrating, these are young babies. These are like 3 to 5-year-olds. And obviously when it went viral, everybody's got cameras everywhere. And I think the backstory is that allegedly there was a woman who was visiting, and they don't even have any shame in their game. They'll do it right in front of you, you know. And she noticed it, like, why aren't these, usually you serve the table, the food, the table, and the next table, the next table. Okay, that would have been, you know, totally fine, totally cool, whatever, whatever. This would not be on viral because black children weren't being served. They literally put a meal in front of was 5 children at this 4 children at this table. 2 children that had food this picture was white children. Okay, so a lot today. So I will say this to Roswell, Georgia. Money talks, you know what walks. So I would yank your children. I know the school ain't free in Roswell, Georgia. You paying a good penny, a good part of your salary, rightfully so. You should be able to take your children to any and all schools you deem fit. But this is not acceptable. This is, it shocks the unconscionable because you don't even think this is sending a message not only to the parent or parents that were observing, this sends you a message to the future Beckys and Kens. I have white privilege. This is what this picture is saying, and this is what is going on. And there was a teacher in the room with her legs crossed, or maybe not so much, but it looks like a teacher. And you should take your children, your babies out of this organization. Because this is why, children that witnesses, this is This comes into the area of mild mistreatment. This is in, you should sue this company. You got the picture. You should sue this company for neglect or whatever the other legal terms are. It should not happen. You're spending hard-earned money, and this is what you see. The children not taking the food and putting the food in front of children. That would be easy. Why even? Because these are white women, and one white woman in the picture. And the children that, I think I'm gonna call. I was discussing with this. This was at the level of disgust because people are trying to get back to normalcy with everything going on, the COVID and the this and the that. But you want to make sure your children are going into the right environment. This is abuse. This is abuse. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So it was a full day for me for today, because I was in preparation. I was thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about? But there was so much. I just wanted to give energy on those three, because a young man lost his life in Minnesota. And the precinct, no, not the precinct, the courthouse that held the Chauvin, the Derek Chauvin case, that was 10 miles away. So there's no regard for life. For life. That young man, people, we have to, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I'm going to say I will definitely say it's unfortunate that we have to have this type of reaction or response. But if you don't do it, if we don't protect our children, no one else is. No one else is, period. So you take them wherever they need to go. It's cute to have the car and buy a car. I get all that. I totally get all that. So this is not the time. We're in war. Mother, 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 there's so many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's so many of you dying. Keep that in mind, because we have to do our part, because we know when we send them out in the world, they may or may not be prepared for what they come into or come up against. So if you have the time to take them, please do. Don't take 2 or 3 young people in the car. They're asking. You're just throwing these children into the wolves. The wolves. So I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know if it's going to take another march. I mean, aren't we tired of marching? That's our go-to. We need to have strategy. They're strategizing us, killing us, and usually they get off. And that's the insult to injury. So we have to recognize where we are and what we're up against. So don't underestimate your open enemy, your race soldier. Don't even underestimate them, please, because we cannot afford to lose another young man, young woman, Breonna Taylor. So, we have to do our part. We cannot send our children out. They're not prepared for whatever they're going to come up against. Maybe 30, 30, 35, but definitely not teenager. Definitely say you're under say 21. This is a shame, but we know where we are. We were not supposed to make it. And thrive and survive home ownership, and they didn't expect that. We should have been gone in glory, as we would say, or they would say, or somebody would say. So we cannot underestimate our open enemy. Not all white people are bad. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. That's counterproductive. But I am saying to you, the ones that have power and control, military operation or policing, you got to, and now KinderCare, I don't want to say KinderCare because that's a business. Preschool contract, because it went viral, I would definitely let this company, I don't care if it was a contract or whatever, everyone knew what was going on at this location. I don't know if it's a chain. I'm going to do a little bit more research. But we need to do all of our homework. And thank goodness, this young lady, young man, I don't know who it was, but they took the picture. And they said, white preschool contract terminated after photos shows white children eating while black children wait to be served. And the lady, she was hovering over this other Caucasian child, and all the white children had been fed. There is no, there's probably 6, 8 children. There is no one attending to or interacting with the black children, our black babies. So if you're in Roswell, Georgia, you know about this, I would pull your children out. See, the only kind of recourse we have at this moment is financial. Financial. Take your money and go somewhere else. It was an interesting last 24 hours. So I didn't want to rant or spend almost 40 minutes. So I thank you. Please share, like, subscribe. Please share, like, subscribe, follow. I have a small audience, but I know I have very good information, and I know it will reach those who are ready for it to receive it. So I thank you for tuning the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. I'm your hostess, Deanne. I'll be back tomorrow. Today's Wednesday? Tuesday? Oh, this is Tuesday. Okay. Like the weeks are, it was just so much in the last 24 hours. It felt like it was like 2 days. It was just so much information. And I saw that young lady. Stop taking it. No, I ain't gonna say stop. All right, Dan. Be mindful of the vaccine. I'll just say be mindful of the vaccine. Just be cautious, be careful, be mindful of the vaccine. I will come back tomorrow, God willing, the creek don't rise. That's the saying. 2:30 Mountain Standard Time, 5:30 Eastern. So I give thanks for your presence, and share, like, subscribe. All right, I'll talk to you and be back, family, on tomorrow, which is Wednesday. All right, take care. Peace.